I know there are a lot of us in Chicago that are frustrated with the recent news coming out about Lonzo Ball's injury, but I'm here to talk about on today's episode the positive sides of the latest injury that is coming out from the Chicago Bulls regarding Lonzo Ball. And then I'm going to talk about the Magic matchup that the Chicago Bulls are getting ready to go into tonight. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you got to hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. For my people that's joining us for the first time, make sure you tune in, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. To our people that's returning, welcome back. Make sure you hit that like button. Now, yesterday, in the wee hours of the night, we got news from the Chicago Bulls social media on X or Twitter, whatever you choose to call it, that Lonzo Ball will be out for about 10 days with a right wrist injury and will be evaluated at that time. It was something that I wasn't feeling too good about simply because after coming off of that loss from the Chicago Bears, I couldn't take any more bad news coming out of my favorite Chicago sports team. And I know that after the game, the Chicago Bulls, they played their game versus the Memphis Grizzlies on Monday to kind of wipe away some of the disgust that I'm looking at Chicago with. But then we get blindsided by this while we're standing in the pocket. We get hit from the backside, and now it's a fumble on the ground. And last night, I keep it a butt with you. I wasn't too happy about hearing this news. And that's the negative side of it. The negative side is that, damn, we don't get to see Lonzo Ball for a couple games. He's down with the injury. He just came back. He's just starting to get his way. But I want to talk about some of the positives that are going to come out from this. One of the positives, and I think is the most obvious, that thank God it's not Lonzo Ball's knee. Thank God it ain't Lonzo Ball's knee. And thank God it's just the right wrist strain. Thank God for the moment right now, it ain't nothing that we got to be too concerned about other than a little bit of tension in his shooting wrist. So we're going to take that as one of the positives and just say, hey, we are excited that it is not Lonzo Ball's knee. It is the wrist, and that's something that we can live with. Another positive is that the season is still early. CDubb had to remind myself, so I'm gonna go ahead and remind you all that are Bulls fans that are tuning in and listening. It's still early in the season. If we're being quite frank and we're being real, the season started a week ago today. So it's only 1 week into the season. Yes, the Chicago Bulls have played 4 games thus far, but it's still only 1 week into the season. The Chicago Bulls have a lot of games left on the docket. Lonzo Ball, if we going and we counting about the 10 days, he'll miss about 5 or 6 games, depending on the severity of the injury and what happens at reevaluation point. So we'll see what happens with that. But I still say that it's still early in the season, so we look at that for what it really is and say, hey, we take that on the chin, and we happy that this is something, at least for right now, is happening right now at the season versus hopefully, knock on wood, something happening around March or April when the Chicago Bulls basketball should be a little bit more intense, a little bit more funner to watch, because as I believe, these guys still want to go out and win as many games as possible. That's what they told us. So I'm going to take them at their word for that until told or shown otherwise. Now, another positive that is coming out of this is that though Lonzo Ball did not play a lot of minutes while he was playing with the Chicago Bulls to start this season, the minutes that's going to be available that he was playing is going to be available to some of the other guys. Some of those other guys, for me personally, include Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, and Montes Buzelis. When we talk about Montes Buzelis, this is our rookie who a lot of us are high on, and some might not be that high on, and that's okay. But I think that what's necessary for this young fella is to get the reps. I think that Montes Buzelis is a guy who needs to establish himself a little bit more. I appreciate the reps that they've been giving him, but now is more opportunity for him that's going to be available to see what he can bring to the squad. Um, it has not been all pretty and shiny for Montes Buzelis, but if we being real, how can anybody show that they can do just about anything with just playing 5 minutes in a basketball game? So now with Lonzo Ball, who's a guy that takes about 14, 16 minutes per night, who plays those minutes per night. Last game that he played, he did exceed and go all the way up to 18 minutes. But the point is that now those minutes could be given out to somebody who has earned it. I'm not saying you give guys minutes just for the sake of giving it to them, but if a player has earned it, you reward those players. Hence why I'm talking about Julian Phillips. You know what I'm saying? And Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry, I've been talking about it for the last few days. Dalen Terry, if you look at the box score, you're going to say Dalen Terry has been trash. But if you take your time and you watch some of the basketball games, go over the recap and look at certain things that's taking place within the game, you can see that Dalen Terry affects the basketball game in different ways outside of just scoring the basketball. One thing that I've loved what he's been doing on the offensive side is moving without the basketball. My man has been cutting to the basket extremely well, opening things up for others and creating for his teammates. And then when he does handle the rock, he's one of those guys that's able to drive and effectively kick to an open 3-point shooter. And on the defensive side, versus Milwaukee, if you go back and you take some time and you look at the Milwaukee game, my man's Dalen Terry was one of the main contributing factors to helping change that game versus the Milwaukee Bucks when they got off to a hot start. In that second quarter, my man's Dalen Terry took on Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard got his off, but the constant pressure eventually got to him, and that was a big in part due to Dalen Terry. And the same thing could be said about the Memphis game. Dalen Terry was big in that game. It was one of the, I think it was about the third quarter. You had Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, P. Will out there as well. And they was defending, getting up and down the court, and they really opened up the lane. So that lineup of Lonzo, Giddy, Zach, Kobe White, and Vooch can really take this thing home. He was one of those guys. A lot of guys contributed, but Dalen Terry did his job. And then when we talk about Julian Phillips, man, Julian Phillips is a guy that has surprised the hell out of me. I do know the track record when it comes out to how he was heavily recruited out of high school and then went to Tennessee and kind of dealt with some injuries coming out of that. That's what kind of pushed him down the draft boards a little bit. But the Chicago Bulls, that was one of the players that they traded back into the draft and went ahead selected. And he has not disappointed one bit. The man looks like he belongs on the basketball court. The man goes out there, he does everything you ask him to do. You don't really see him make too many bonehead plays. You see him do the right thing. Cut into the basket, being aggressive inside the paint, and he can knock down that damn three. And it looked like if you let him get hot, he can go on a little streak. I ain't saying he gonna go out here and hit 7 for 8. I ain't saying all that. I'm just saying he can hit about 2, 3, 4 in a row probably. We seen that in the preseason. To a hit, I think it was about 2 or 3 threes in a row. And he's been providing that shooting ability for the Chicago Bulls to help continue space that floor. So I got to show love to that. But however they disperse out these additional minutes that's going to be there, I hope that they use them effectively. And I hope it goes to the guy who's having a better night that night. You know what I'm saying? Especially since we're going up against the Orlando Magic, you're definitely going to need these guys on the floor to keep pace with the Orlando Magic team, who is a really good team right now to start off the season and had some playoff success last season. So those are my reasons for why those are my reasons on some of the positives or some of the examples of the positive side of Lonzo Ball injury. My man is coming back. He's not done for the season, and it's opening up a lot of doors for the others that's on the squad. Let me know your thoughts and everything down below. Now, before we get up out of here, I want to talk about tonight's matchup, the Bulls versus the Magic. The Magic, they boast a record of 3-1, and these guys have beaten the Chicago Bulls in their last 5 matchups. The last 5 matchups. So the Chicago Bulls, me personally, where is my PR guy? Where is my analytics guy? Where is my statistician? Because if I was one of those guys within the Chicago Bulls organization, I would be definitely letting Billy Donovan know. I'll be definitely letting Kobe White, Josh Giddey, Zach LaVine, all these Chicago Bulls players know. Y'all know y'all ain't beat these guys in the last 5 matchups, bro. How much pride y'all got in that? How much pride do y'all have in that? I think it's going to be an interesting matchup overall, though. When we talking about that, I think it's going to be a very, very fun matchup. These are two young teams. One team right now is kind of in a rut with the Chicago Bulls. They're trying to make their way. Started off the season, you know, say average 2-2 on the season. And you'll see what they go with. Both of these teams are going to get out there and run it. For me, I think it's going to come down to the defensive side, which I think the Orlando Magic have the edge on that side. But I think the Chicago Bulls have some type of firepower to compete with these guys. These guys got Paolo. That matchup versus P. Will and Paolo is going to be very, very interesting. And then I'm anxious to see who's going to step up and be able to contribute when it comes to Zach LaVine's side. How do the Orlando Magic look at that matchup? How do they try to contain him? Do they put Jalen Suggs on him to guard him, or does Jalen Suggs go on Josh Giddey? So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see how these guys match up versus each other, especially with this new iteration of the Chicago Bulls. I can tell you one matchup that ain't going to be fun. Nick Vooch versus Wendell Carter Jr. Y'all still trying to convince me that the trade was lost? When it came to those two players, I can understand the draft picks that came after this and the Franz Wagner, all that shit. But I kept constantly hearing for the last few seasons, oh my God, you traded Nikola Vucevic for Wendell Carter. You traded Wendell Carter away from the Bulls like he was awesome. No, he wasn't that good over here. Is he okay over there? Yeah. But he's not Nikola Vucevic. And it's crazy I'm talking greasy about Nikola Vucevic. It's crazy I'm sitting here talking greasy and protecting Nikola Vucevic versus a bum in Wendell Carter Jr. I'm tired of hearing this discourse. If the Chicago Bulls lose tonight, you could grant it and you could definitely bookmark it that some bozo from the Magic gonna say, oh my God, look at this fleece that the Magic got from the Bulls from Nikola Vucevic. Okay. I understand other aspects of the trade. But when we talk about the player we sent out in Wendell Carter Jr., come on, bro. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And everybody know that me and my man Jalen Suggs had a little, Mr. Magic City was doing his thing in Chicago, and I ain't even gonna lie to you. I can't even hate on the brother. The brother got some game, and he be out there talking his shit. So I'm anxious to see Zach LaVine talk his shit. I'm anxious to see if Josh Giddey can continue to be a constant force for the Chicago Bulls. I'm anxious to see how the Chicago Bulls maximize their backup point guard. You know what I'm saying? Or the backup ball handler. I know Ayo Dosunmu is going to be a part of that, but do you now include a ball handler like THT? Or do you include a ball handler like Dalen Terry? Who do you trust more? It's going to be ancient. It's going to be very, very intriguing to see this for me when it comes to this matchup versus the Magic tonight. I'm hoping that we can come out and put the win. We shall see. But let me know who y'all got for tonight's matchup. If y'all asking me to put it on wax, Bobby, put it on wax. Paulo just dropped 50, gang. I ain't gonna lie. Paulo just dropped 50. He got 50. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the Bulls lose tonight. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the Chicago Bulls lose tonight. I think that this young squad over there, they got a lot to prove to start off the season. They already started off pretty well. Haven't really played a crazy amount of competition, to be honest with you. But I'm going to show the nod to them because not only do I believe they have it going offensively, I believe they are better defensively than the Chicago Bulls. It's not the end all be all, but it's one of those things. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to say the Bulls losing a close one. But y'all let me know how y'all feeling about the game tonight. Drop everything down below, your comments, your thoughts, everything Chicago Bulls. If you want to be a part of our mailbag episodes, you call in, state your name, leave your tape. The number to do so is 773-242-9219. Y'all know how we always rock it. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell because the live call will be taking place tonight. So I hope to see y'all there. If you ain't never been there, you might want to be there. it be lit when the Bulls are playing, and it still be lit when the Bulls be trash because we be roasting them. So join the fun. Come talk some smack about your team or root them on. And Tune There with Shy Bulls Podcast. But that's it for me today. We appreciate y'all. Peace.
Cognac. Gang.